Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah. And this is the Patreon page, and where we get to be a little more free, you might say. So, without any further ado, I would like to welcome Christopher Laprath to the Patreon page. And I would also, real quick, like to just give a quick shout out to the Patreon members. Rebecca, Lisa V, Audrey, Terry, or Mr. B, Paul Marsh, James, and Reba. Thank you so much for your support, and this show is for you guys. So let me get over here to comment. Well, no one's actually going to do it. They're going to be doing it through this part. So unfortunately, the chat room for Patreon doesn't go into the StreamYard. So I have to just check and make sure. Yes, Lisa V says yay. Ready to go. So anyway, I will be looking in that direction at the screen, just so you know, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to keep up with it. So yeah, that was so far. And people are probably taking a minute to come over. And I should do this. Let's see if you hit play. Yeah, we're good to go. All right, cool. So we're all on Patreon, and they can check it out. All right, so we were doing readings earlier, and why would be the death card? Why would they? I mean, I understand it's the end of stuff, but why such a drastic term? Why not new beginning or something? It's because it can make your heart stop when the first time you see it.
Yeah. Well, I've told people that probably the perfect business is if you were a tarot card reader and an insurance salesman. You could stack the whole deck with just death cards and go, "Hey, you got the death card. You need insurance."
Right.
I meant that completely as a joke, but
Yeah.
the death card is about letting go.
Well, that's
so when my mom died, I was with her. I wrote about this in the book. I was holding her hand, and I realized she was letting go of her family, her friends, her money, her dog, her career, her husband, her clothes, her house. She was letting go. So when you get the death card, this is about letting go. Okay. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, because it's not just about new beginnings, because the death card does include new beginnings, but you have to get off the dock to get on the boat.
Right.
It's like you can't have one foot on the dock and then one foot on the boat at the same time. You can for a while, but like as we were talking earlier with, I mentioned Audrey, right?
Yes.
I instant message her to say, yeah, it's really important that you leave where you're at and what you're doing. Because here's the thing: is we all live at some level or another with confirmation bias. Are you familiar with confirmation bias?
I mean, I know what the words mean.
So I'll give you an example. Doc, did you know that only left-handed people are creative?
Really? I thought we were all born left-handed. The best of us got over it.
only left-handed people are creative. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That is a confirmation bias. Okay.
Because if you're left-handed, you say that it's a confirmation of truth, but you're being. I get it. Okay, makes sense.
So in a lot of areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's confirmation bias in our lives about how we're trained, right? That story of the little girl that was watching her mom cut off the end of the roast before she put it in the pan. And the little girl says to the mama, "Why are you cutting off the end of the roast?" She goes, "Well, my mom did it." So they call the grandmother. The grandmother says, "Well, my mother did it." So they call the great grandmother. And the great grandmother says, "I cut off the end of the roast because my pan was too small." And so there was this like confirmation bias that was developed over sometimes even generations,
Mhm.
where things or belief systems are passed down and people don't question.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh
So
yeah.
that bias,
I mean, families do that. I mean, I remember one woman said she was asked, who are you voting for this year in the presidential election? She goes, "Grandma, who am I voting for?"
right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Hey, I just figured this out. So I can do this. Bam. There is the Patreon chat room, or the messages.
Oh, wow.
So we got just a couple in here. We've got Lisa, which she confirms was Lisa Ann from Facebook that you spoke with. And Terry Reesing is here. And as this little bell goes off, I'll click on that, and that will be the next question. So Lisa says the shedding happens with the death card, and a lot of people are afraid of the process. Goes back to not necessarily fearing the unknown itself, but not knowing what's beyond the unknown. What do you think of that?
Right. So that's um, so the brain's number one job is to keep us safe. So one of the first things I tell a few of my clients that come on for the first time, I go, "You're safe." Okay. Um, and whatever messages come are going to be the highest priority. But there's a lot of times it's like peeling the onion. So, like that confirmation bias, people are only going to remember the details that enforce or uphold their existing ideas. Okay.
It fits their paradigm.
It's their paradigm, right? So, people that get angry or upset or agitated, they think sometimes it's just them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And but many times there are outside forces, there are demonic influences. Yeah, there are. Because if you believe in angels
You
and
got
you
to
believe
believe in
in God,
demons.
then there are extremely negative influences.
The opposite polarity, is that how you say it?
Right, right. Um, so part of seeing the unseen, part of what I do is it's important to peel the onion back
Mm-hmm.
without the person with while the person and have the person feel safe, because it's an energy change. It's a change of how we've been raised, right? Projections that were put upon us by our parents or by society, fears that um, are only in the they're only in the mind, or what we've been trained to fear. Okay, so what if you really weren't stupid? Okay, so let's say you go out tomorrow, Doc, and you meet an 18-foot giant.
Oof.
Okay, and this 18-foot giant says, there's something wrong with you. You're stupid. Um, you might not want to fight with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, think about when you're 3 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And your parents are the equivalent of an 18-foot giant.
Holy shit. Yeah. Never. So true. Wow. Wow.
And so the brain,
Don't even
the
think about
human
that.
brain, isn't developed uh, below the age of like 7 years old. Everything good that happens in that person's life is because of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anything good that happens in the family is because of them. Everything bad that happens in the family is because of them. Okay. And we're influenced. So what if you really weren't what if you really weren't what you were told by a giant? And it wouldn't have been just your parents, it could have been any
A
adult.
teacher, or
Yeah,
other adults just around. Yeah.
right.
Bullies. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and so the brain goes into this belief system that has kept it safe. But the brain, here's the deal: the brain doesn't do time. So
No,
what happened 30 years ago,
can feel like right now.
right?
Quantum entanglement,
Yeah.
because it's two times. I tried to explain in my presentation with third phase that life is a bunch of moments, and like frames on a film reel. And if you look at it individually, time stands still. But if you go through them quickly, it creates the perception of time. And so life, and that's why I put a scene from Interstellar in there, because it was the best that they could do today of a visual representation of the fourth and fifth dimensions. And just it was, if you've seen the movie, you get what I'm saying. And I forgot where I was going with this, but oh yes. So I did that, and I presented it there because um I lost where I was trying to lead with this.
Well, that's okay. But it's a point of
I'm
like,
sorry.
one of my abilities is that seeing the unseen is actually pointing out that confirmation bias
Okay.
that we've always had. And I go, hey, I think your grandma cut off the end of the roast. Your great grandma cut off the end of the roast because, pan was too small. Right.
Right.
And you go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Um, so that you're free of not having to hang on to that belief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you've met people in abusive relationships,
Yes.
and they break up, and then they end up getting back with that same type of person, not necessarily that person, because
Yeah.
something in them, they believe
That's what they deserve.
they deserve to be beat up on. So the little kid watches their dad hit the mother and go, I'm only doing this because I love you.
Mhm.
And so that's how they translate love.
They associate it with that.
I mean, and this is just one of thousands of examples, right?
Right.
But
Right.
but it's much more than just, it's just much more than me seeing your dead grandma, right? But they have a message for you. So I'll tell you the story. This happened 10 years ago. I was on a plane flying back from Florida to Phoenix. I was exhausted. I was sitting on the aisle seat. And this really beautiful girl excused herself, got on, and sat by the window seat. We took off, and her grandmother was there in the aisle screaming at me, tell her to lose that guy. Tell her to lose that guy. Tell her to lose that guy. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman would not be alone.
Now, was she just sitting in the plane?
No, she was sitting in the aisle.
And this was the dead
This,
grandmother?
this is a dead grandmother.
So they can actually be on planes at altitudes?
Planes and trains and automobiles, and
I didn't know if they were grounded or anything.
there's
Anyway,
no.
so yeah, so she's telling you, get my granddaughter to break up with him.
So I turned to this woman. I said, I know this is going to sound weird. My name's Chris. I'm supposed to tell you, your grandmother's here. Described her, and I said, she's telling me to tell you to lose the guy. And the girl burst into tears. She had stayed up all night praying to God for a sign as to whether she should break up with her fiance of 5 years. They've been engaged for 5 years.
Wow.
And it took her a year, but she broke up, right? It took her, she had to break that confirmation bias.
Mm-hmm.
That there was something wrong with her as to where the relationship wasn't working. So the reason the grandmother appeared was with this message, right? To help break these confirmation biases, um, this feeling of being thwarted all the time.
Wow.
Okay, so it can come. This is why we're getting down real and dirty here. That's why I had in the earlier program, I said, write this question down on your bathroom mirror, on your refrigerator, bedroom ceiling. I don't care. Where is this coming from? When you get into a funk,
Mm-hmm.
That isn't you. So go, where is this coming from? Could it be from my upbringing? Could it be from somebody that just dumped on me? Because there are things that are attached to people, and I see them all the time. Okay. So one of the things that I tell my clients, if there's an extremely toxic person in their life, you may not be able to see the demons or the things that are attached to them because there are other beings other than just demonic influences that can be attached to these people. There's a really good book. It was written in the 30s, I believe. It's called, I think about it. I'll think about it in a minute. I'll remember it.
Okay.
Anyway, in knowing and then remembering to get rid of these influences, like putting salt into your bed. We talked about that before.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
It will help you sleep better.
Do dogs eat salt? Because I got puppies that go under my bed. That's when you said that, I was like, how am I going to avoid that? Can I put it in Tupperware?
Like you put it in a Tupperware bowl with a lid on.
With a lid on it? Okay. I mean, they'll probably still try to chew on it, but yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that can be one of the ways to help you. Now, are people able to writing questions on this one like they were on Facebook?
No, I can't pop them up on the screen. Well, I mean, I can, not with the cool bubbles and stuff. I have to do this.
Okay.
And let me scroll down. Haven't got a new comment yet. Oh no, Lisa says about time, conception of time, Doc Hart, I think, how the past and the present intertwine.
Okay. So there's some cultures that don't believe in a linear past, present, future.
Okay.
That everything is happening all at once. So remember, this is a dynamic universe, and our brain wants to make a linear. We start first grade, we sit in rows. We go to Starbucks, we stand in lines. Right? When you think about how our brain is trained, so everything has to make sense. So, yeah, it's absolutely definite that things are happening all at once.
And that, like I was saying, if it was a bunch of film, slides, but instead of on top of each other, they're all side by side combined. And those are those moments. And I feel like our soul is flying through it.
Yeah.
And but that's where everything is already in place. I mean, like you said, there is no time. So all this stuff has already happened. We just haven't got there yet. We haven't experienced it.
Yeah, so that's why it's in this period of mankind's history. If I can stress again on this call, on this program, absolutely stay positive. There are forces right now. There's a bifurcation of humanity going on right now, where people that are not getting it are checking off the planet, or they're needing to check off the planet, and there's a new consciousness coming in. Okay, so it's extremely important to stay positive because any negative thought will rip you apart.
Yeah. Okay. And I have been since we talked, because it's so easy, especially this past year, to fall into some serious darkness. And when I did, I don't know if I had spoken to you about it, but it was I think February 4th or 5th, when in Houston, Texas, Travis, this hip hop guy that's married to Kardashian, Travis Scott, had that huge satanic cultic concert in Houston at Astroworld, and people died. And I went down that rabbit hole doing research on it, and you know how rabbit holes go; they just keep going and going. And the stuff that I was seeing and learning that went back to biblical days, with high priests and stuff, and all their symbolisms. It was just another confirmation of how close to this big, I don't want to say the end, I want to say this shift, this change that's coming. And things like Prince Charles making announcements of this individual that will be more powerful than all of the nation leaders combined and he has trillions and trillions of dollars and all this. And um, people say the Antichrist. I mean, this shit's scary. And, but at the same time, I feel personally in my heart, deep down my soul, that I chose to be here at this time to bear witness to it and to be a watchman on the wall, to share the information, because 15, 20 years ago, this wouldn't be happening. The whole podcast thing and me being able to, anybody with a camera and a microphone, get on and make a change or influence somebody, people, and try to bring things to light. It was always restricted to the powers of the be and their media control. So yeah, it's getting faster and faster. It's a snowball effect that we're coming to whatever it ends up being that happens, whether we all turn to light and go up into the heavens or New World Order or any of these other things that everybody's talking about. It's whatever it is, it's going to happen. And it's like you said, it's already there. We just haven't got to that point yet in time. So I'm scared shitless. But at the same time, I'm very, very excited and honored to be a part of it. And especially with what you and I do, being literally out there and sharing the knowledge and helping others through this technology. And it feels like a good purpose in my book,
And that's the thing that I was talking with Dalia about on the other call. What is true in the microcosm is true in the macrocosm. So if you view you as an individual as the microcosm, you change the macrocosm. How you view the world, you are the observer, and how you view the world matters because in quantum physics, the observer always changes the observed. So how you view things changes what is observed.
On this topic, have you ever worked with any universities? I mean, you said you've had your head scanned and all that, but did you work with any physicists or theoretical physicists on quantum entanglement and maybe help bring the supernatural abilities that people like you have into the science world more, where it's not scoffed? I mean, it's science. I mean, because we're realizing that you are in this quantum realm, or you can interact with it. Do you think it's going to be legitimized?
Well, it already has been.
Okay.
So the U of A down in Tucson, the Veritas project, that they actually have a department where they study. If you just even
Are you
Google,
talking about Project Veritas?
yeah, there's a project where they study the afterlife.
Okay.
And I've got his book on my shelf. I can't think of his name right now. But if you just Google every major university and look at the metaphysical studies, like some studies will study consciousness. Some universities will study consciousness. That's their specialization. They'll have a department with consciousness. They'll have it in U of A. They have the afterlife department.
Wow.
Where they study the afterlife. Okay, so
like I've heard of a doctor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but up in Canada, he created the God helmet, the football helmet with all the diodes, and it would take people to heaven and hell and all those places. I've known that universities have done this study, but in whispers, to me, it sounded like it wasn't always taken seriously. It was kind of like a side credit thing.
Well, the part of it is seeing the value in it, and so that's where I work with individuals, and I'm working right now, and we'll further this conversation. But I'm working with other things right now that I can't talk about. other organizations that I
Okay.
can't talk about right now. That is, but never be free of ever underestimating your ability, or whoever's on this call, as to you as a microcosm having effect on this macrocosm around you. Okay, and
It's just like you share happiness. It's contagious. If you're
right,
angry, it's contagious,
right.
and that's it. Yeah, I believe that full heartedly, that whatever energy you put out, it can multiply, good or
Right.
bad.
So the other thing too that you have to be careful with, you don't have to do anything, right? On this call, you don't have to take anything that I'm saying as God's truth. Okay, you don't have to do anything. You don't need to do anything. But let me just say this. So let's say, Doc, you walk into the room and I'm talking with, I don't know, Audrey or somebody. Okay, and you hear your name, that Audrey and I are talking about you.
Okay.
What do you want to do? Do you want to listen, or do you just want to walk away?
Yeah, you want to listen.
You want to listen. Okay.
That's just, yeah, I would think that's human nature.
Yeah. So the detriment to this is where people that are interested in the supernatural for entertainment purposes have to be very, very careful.
Hmm.
Because if you're constantly talking about the scary things, the dark things, the supernatural, they're
Hmm.
going to listen. They're
And
going to be
you're gonna be attract. It's going to attract to you.
going to attract them,
Yeah.
right? So I'm very careful. Like I don't go to, I made the mistake of driving through Jerome, Arizona.
Is that desert?
It's that mountain. It's that mining town that's
Ooh.
just above Sedona
Okay.
that is extremely haunted. It was one of the biggest mining companies 100 years ago, but it's extremely haunted. And the hotel has been on several of these Ghostbusters haunting programs,
Shows. Yeah.
shows, right? And it's you just don't do that. I don't go to places. I don't go to cemeteries. I don't. There's just it's like here in Phoenix. There's a strip called. You don't go to Van Buren at midnight, okay? Because Van Buren, you've heard of Van Buren down here, right?
Is that a road?
Yeah, Van Buren is a really, really bad part of town,
Oh,
right?
okay. Okay.
A lot of dark energies, a lot of drug addicts, it's dangerous, right? It's just dangerous area of town, and every town has that, has
Yeah.
a bad area that you don't really go into. So you have to. It's really important. Uh, I can't like. There are some people I can't really say, "Hey, you're possessed," right?
Hmm.
I could just say, "Hey, pay attention to where your thoughts are coming from. Like, what is that? Like, where is that coming from?" But when you have these dark thoughts, you might have some really dark energies around you.
Yeah. Like when I had that thing with the Astro World thing. Yeah. I was researching too much dark energy, and it took me to, I was in a really, really bad dark place for a couple weeks.
And that's why is because these energies were going, "Hey, Doc's talking about me,"
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And uh, and then I don't like even people that channel. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm really careful with that. I had a really close friend who used to channel this entity, this being, but this entity wanted something in return, and it was her
Hmm.
energy. Now
Yeah.
she's 400 pounds, can't get off the couch, kidney disease, liver failure, can't walk. Just
Wow.
and it literally, this thing wanted something in return. So I'm really
And
careful about that. And then you meet people that are they're very knowledgeable. They can talk the talk. Right?
mhm.
Reminds me of people that can quote the Bible.
They scare me sometimes.
Right? But they're not living. They actually are not getting the essence of what it takes
Mm-hmm.
to actually be that Christian, or in the metaphysical world. Um, you and it's not just the metaphysical world. It's, you've been to medical doctors that were just quacks. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that there aren't doctors out there that are really good doctors.
right. There's just always somebody trying to take advantage of any system they can.
It's just trusting your gut. It's just
Right.
absolutely trusting your gut. And like I said, we only see one third of 1% of the visible light spectrum. There's a whole lot out there, and so I help people trust their gut.
I've always wondered this: are all spirits or beings that you see, are they all, you know, deceased, dead people, or are there any energies that are basically like photographs, living photographs of past moments? Because I've heard of someone, and we were talking about rocks earlier, how they can store energy. I've tried to look for this before for a show and I couldn't find it, but I saw it years ago. Someone took they built a home on a property and there was a boulder or a big rock, and they kind of took that and put it in their living room where it was originally. And the couple were in their living room sitting down, and an army of soldiers with carts come through their living room.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that this stone was something that recorded this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how does and why does something like that happen? What's the purpose of it?
Well, it's just nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does water run downhill? It's
It just does.
it just
Yeah.
there's so much of nature that we don't understand. I never told you this. When I was up there for the show in October, I stayed at the casino,
Mm-hmm.
and when I checked into the hotel, it was late, right? It was anyway. I knew I was being watched, right? And then,
Was this the first year?
yeah, this is the first year. Well, it actually happened both times.
Okay.
I was being
Okay.
watched. If any of the listeners in that Sholo Lakeside area, the casino's out near in the woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I knew I was being watched, and then I heard, and about an hour later, this Sasquatch scream. Absolutely, I knew it was. Like,
Someone else mentioned that at Disclosure Con, they heard someone out by the parking lot with a wood tree line. They said they heard what was Sasquatch screaming.
yeah,
That is insane that you just said
but it
that.
was both years. It was both years. And then it was so I was like, okay, it's real. This is kind of important to pay attention to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then we came over to your house and you had those footprints on
Right.
Sasquatch. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So, to me, they're interdimensional beings, right? But there are, who knows, millions of races. There's all kinds of beings. I mean, I don't talk about this. I'm glad we're on Patreon, but you know, there are elves, there are fairies. There, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you believe in ghosts, right? Um, it, to me, it's like people go, well, I only believe in angels. Well, that's like saying the only Italian food is lasagna.
Right. Right.
It's like, no,
Yeah. No, I've seen amazing footage, video, and photographs of fairies, and I can tell when things are fake. And I have been fooled too, but I figure it out eventually. But the I believe the powers that be have done their best to diminish and um, uh, not undervalue, dismiss all of the legends and lores of all these elves and creatures and giants and midget. I mean, just all of it, because we're finding proof, archaeological proof, and
Yeah,
and
it's all
documents.
it's all that ego thing, right?
Right. That only us,
And
yeah,
we're the highest form of life. We're the blah blah blah.
hubris. Yeah,
It really is.
it really is.
How's your side feeling, by the way?
I've been ignored. I just didn't think about it till just now. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and you're breathing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm feeling good. Yeah. I've had, I did have some breathing issues coming back from Dallas. I was there for a week during an ice storm and then drove back up, and I was having some breathing issues. But yeah, when we say, drink water up here, we're serious. We're at high
Well,
altitude.
yeah, and the thing is, it's not just that, Doc. It's like you knew I was coming on,
Hmm.
and there were some forces that did not want this to happen.
Yeah.
There's this expansion of consciousness, uh, and a lot of times we're in a war. This is a real.
I'm glad you said that. I wrote in my notes, Piercing the Darkness, which is a book. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It came out in the 80s or 90s, and it's about a family, a church guy and everything, but they've got angels and demons that are constantly battling for their soul every day with every choice that's made. And is that anything similar to what you were saying? There's a battle going on?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
That was the first book I read as a kid that opened my eyes to the other side, in a scary way, but made me go, oh, okay. And it also made me understand that, to think more about my choices. Of course, I was a kid. I didn't always make the greatest choices, but I was conscious and aware to think about my choices because of what it could mean later down the line or spiritually.
yeah.
So, and
So,
go ahead.
and I'm really glad. I'm really happy for you that you got out of that. Uh, the
Dark
lot.
place. Dark place. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. What were you sensing from it? Because I could tell you're going to be
Well,
right on whatever you say.
the first, I think it was that at first I walked into that place was when Martina was
Film festival.
the film festival and
Yeah.
that party there, and I actually went in and left. I mean, I literally walked in and left
Hmm.
because it has some really dark energy in
Oh,
there.
there was some deaths,
Yeah,
and it is haunted.
yeah.
We've all everybody that's worked there has encountered the ghosts there.
Did not like it.
Yeah, they like to throw things off the shelves in the fridge and all that.
So you're in a much better place. Um, and what's going to be happening with you? So this is a card called the Drifter card, experiencing life as it comes.
Okay, it
Remember
sounds.
that in Star Wars, the first one, where
Uh-huh.
Obi-Wan is training Luke, and he puts the blindfolder on Luke,
Yeah, the shield helmet
the shield helmet,
to
and
see
then
through. Yeah.
Luke starts to trust his instincts, and you know, and is able to thwart those little things that were firing at him, right? And
The laser darts. Yeah.
so this is where you're going to be experiencing more and more of these ability to protect yourself, but to bring in more because you're doing this to protect the future. This is the dragon's hoard,
Wow.
okay?
Okay.
And keeping it like when you have some really good news, keep it to yourself and share it maybe with one other person. Do not tell anyone else.
Okay.
Keep it to yourself until it actually comes to actual fruition.
you know, you're absolutely right, because I do think about that a lot. I get excited. Maybe I've met somebody or something and want to tell everybody, but I know I shouldn't. But I still tell my mom. you know?
Yeah.
But no, I because it can jinx you. That's how I see it. It can jinx you if you put it out there.
It doesn't just jinx you, it allows these forces to come in and thwart it.
Okay.
So if I'm projecting at you, you know what, I really wish I had that green hat with that thing on that symbol. I don't know what that symbol is, but I really like that green hat. And I'm the alien, right? And I'm jealous of it. You'll feel it. And you won't even know where it's coming from.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's some people out there that aren't that fond of me. So
keep your plans to yourself. And I'm saying this to everybody out there. Okay. Maybe one or two trusted people, but no one else. Okay? Keep it off of Facebook, keep it off of Instagram. Okay. Because this is spiritual narcolepsy. I love this card.
This is an interesting deck. I've never seen this deck before.
So this is by Alberto Villoldo. He's one of my favorite authors. He's a medical anthropologist. He's written several books. He ran a laboratory in Northern California that studied the effect of stress on the body, which they've known for years. But then he also was studying the effect of positiveness on how that affects the system. Ended up going to South America and living with the shamans in Peru. Okay. So he wrote these great books, and this is a deck of cards that he came up with that I use occasionally. I don't use them all the time, but for you, I'm using them because there's something profound in this about moving your energy along and not just making a living, but thriving. Okay. And so it's really important for you not to fall asleep or go unconscious.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about physical sleep.
Metaphorically,
right?
Yeah. Would that incorporate being lazy and binge watching a lot of Netflix?
No.
Okay.
Because your mind, that's the way you process. You process things that way. And sometimes your mind just needs a break. Okay.
Yeah.
This is about spreading your wings. So you're doing the exact thing. You're doing the perfect thing, interviewing these people. You're an incredible interviewer. You are one of the best communicators I have ever met.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you really are. Because people like you, right? Doggone it. And people like you. That's who you are.
Was it Richard Smiley?
Yeah.
I'm happy. I can't even do it, but yes.
People like you, right?
But there's truth in that, though. There's truth. And it works. He just made it really funny.
And so you're able to, like, this is why you and I click so well, because you're able to view things from a higher level. Okay, and I'm not going to go into it, but you and I know what we're talking about. When you think about flying and higher level,
seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, around that one project that you've been working on.
Which project? What? Oh,
Has fly in it.
Oh yeah. So good things for that. Yes, I'm all about that. It's just when the right time, whenever it's meant to be, I'm hoping sooner than later. Um, then that'll be a good thing, and for a lot of people too, because it's not just that project is a seed for other things to help the people here on the mountain and kids that love sports. It it's it's just not a script I wrote. The intent in it, and the reason why I was able to pop it out in 2 weeks, it clawed its way out of me. I stood in front of this computer and I just had the soundtrack from The Greatest Showman, Hugh Jackman, just playing it over and over. It's like the ultimate.
Today, I was listening to that track today.
Oh yeah, it's the underdog soundtrack. That's what it should be. I mean, it's so if I ever got a sports award for that film, the first person I'm going to thank is Hugh Jackman and the cast.
Yeah.
The Greatest Showman. All these sports people are really like, what?
I was listening to that Keala Settle, who sings the song. She was the major star. She was the bearded lady in that movie.
Yes, amazing. Yeah.
So there's somebody. Can you check the messages here?
Yeah.
There's somebody out here that is having some kind of issue, some major obstacles.
Okay, we've got Paul Marsh. He said that you speak things into existence. That was about 20 minutes ago. Lisa says, time is like an accordion. It is condensed and folded together, and our life and our timeline is the air that pushes through it. Ooh, that's an interesting way to think of it. I like that. That's kind of cool. And that was it right there. So what do you have for them, whoever it is?
So is that everything that people have posted?
Yeah, so far they're just listening. Here's more. Lisa V. Terry Reesing is here. She says, "Here we are again. This is very cool." Yeah, so we've got 3 or 4 people here. So it's got to be. It's narrowed down. It's 1 of 4. Yeah. So you got a 25% chance.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've got 4 people on here. So. So with Paul,
Oh, Terry Reesing asked, she'd like to know what's next for her. I just had to refresh. Oh my gosh, now the comments are popping up. Now that you asked to see the comments, everybody's adding new comments. Hold on. Update your messages. I am Lisa. So yeah, Terry would like to know what's next for her. And
so for Paul, let me go back to Paul because this pertains to Paul. Is he still on?
Yeah, well, hopefully he is.
Okay. Paul, say hi or something.
Oh, okay. Let's see. And there's also probably a delay. They might have a little bit of a delay.
Okay, so with Paul, that's okay. So with Paul, let me just say this.
Yeah, he just said hi. I'm getting them notified on my phone.
So leave the term "but" out of your life. Well, if we go to the movies, that's fine, but we have to also spend money on popcorn. Those buts. It's like, Paul, your mantra is, how is so those vision boards, and you're doing these affirmations. I have $1 million. Okay, that's very restrictive. So Paul, change on how can this happen? Whatever it is that expand it. Make your awareness more about it rather than try to condense it down. Okay. So how can I have popcorn at the movie? Not but. Okay. So if we only have so much money to spend going to the movie, but you don't have enough money for popcorn, hey, how is this possible? How is this possible for me to have popcorn?
put that out to the cosmos.
And then on your way, you find $10 on the ground, right? Whatever it is.
Wow.
So it's about how is this possible? And put that out to the universe so you're not limiting it, right?
To just a certain amount of money and
To
nothing
just a
else.
certain amount.
Yeah. I mean, I'd want some happiness in there too, or businesses.
Yeah, because Paul, be free of looking at so many obstacles in your way. And this applies to everyone that's on this call. So it's not, thank you, Paul, for bringing this up, but this is the card that fell out, and this is about the wall. And how can this be possible? Okay, so replace the obstacles with how can this be possible? How can this happen? Show me how this can happen. Okay. Now, you said, who else wanted a question?
Terry Reesing, she said, I'd like to know what's next for me.
Okay. Thank you, Terry. I'm actually going to switch decks here real quick. And what I do, Terry, let me get in the front of the camera here, is as I shuffle through, this is when I do a reading, is I allow your guides to pick the card. So the card fell out.
The Six of Cups?
The Sun card.
Or Sun, not six.
Okay. Which is life. It's one of the highest cards in the deck.
It's very shiny.
Yeah, it's a
it has a big glow even on the camera.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting.
There's a place you go that has, you know how the Mogollon Rim, they're showing me like at the Mogollon Rim. So see this mountain here?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The top of the mountain. At sunrise, great place for you to meditate. And you'll start downloading information that's going to help make your life better.
So find this place.
Yeah,
at sunset,
sunrise
or sunrise.
Yeah, but it's like where you can see and it doesn't have to be sunrise or sunset. I mean, it could be.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a crown, actually, from how I see it. Like
right,
a crown on something.
Yeah,
and then it's a pretty card.
It's also like a wedding ring. Okay, that I see. But it's more about when you meditate, you're going to get ahas as to your purpose. Like you haven't been listening. Okay. They're showing me that meme. Linda. Remember that meme where Linda, listen, Linda, listen. Remember that little kid? And
you're talking about Stewie from Family Guy, where he's like, "Mom, mommy."
Yeah. And then there's a meme. There's actually this mother. This mother is like filming her son, who's like 4, and going, Linda, listen to me. He wants a cupcake, right?
Oh yes, I have seen that one. Yes.
Okay.
And
she says, "You're not listening to me, right?" Because he's so like caught up in the. So this will give you pause to listen. Like you've been being given signs, but you need to pone atención. Okay, which means pay attention in Spanish. It's the only thing I remember from my Spanish class. But it's about pone atención, and it's like marrying your purpose to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to listen, and the meditation will help.
Awesome. I hope that helped, Terry. Let me put the.
It's quieting her mind.
Okay. Lisa says, Chris, the channeling similar happened to me. I can no longer have children because I did not follow through with what they wanted me to do. I didn't carry out their mission. And so because of that, my reproductive system has crashed. Everything has been getting worse year after year. I know exactly what it is like. The channeling thing.
She did not follow through what they wanted her to do.
Lisa, Lisa had an encounter, multiple encounters. It's not my, I'd rather her say if she wants to say.
So let me just pull a card for you, Lisa. So you've got the defeat card. Okay.
She said it's okay. She had alien encounters and was impregnated, stuff like that.
Okay.
So she just messaged me.
Right. So the so can you, Lisa, start doing what is right with you and what is good about you, rather than what has been impregnated with you, what's wrong with you? And being free of getting attention, because the attention is, you can draw it from yourself. You can get enough attention. You can feed yourself rather than needing the attention from outside in a negative way.
Yeah, she said you're absolutely right. She says that she feels defeated on multiple levels, and one of it was when she was saying she understands being alone, dissociated from everybody else, because it's being an experiencer like that. It's one of the most important things is finding others, so you don't feel that you're alone, that you know that you're not, and that other people have experienced it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm trying to help her, find someone to talk about these things. And so I can understand why she feels defeated on multiple levels, because you have the ridicule of people
So
that
can she be clear of the need to create defeat in her life? Because this is what you've gotten used to. Okay.
kind of like you were mentioning earlier with how
Flea,
people.
right. A flea is only going to jump 36 inches. I mean, a flea can jump 36 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Put a flea in a jar, after a couple of days, it's only going to jump up right to the top of the jar because it gets tired of hitting its head on the jar.
Doesn't
So
want to.
becomes conditioned and rolled. And so people actually get addicted to defeat, depression, all of that.
It gets comfortable.
Yeah, because
and familiar.
Yeah, because you get used to it.
Right.
And then that's where, leeches can absolutely get more blood from a body that's laying still in a lake than somebody that's up running around trying to tear the leeches off.
Mm-hmm.
I use that illustration with, you can lay there in a defeated position and stop, or you can stop giving power to the defeat or what's defeating you, or any thought to what's defeating you.
To the defeat itself.
Yes, right. And so this is the devil card, and this is about the play. She needs to play more.
Okay.
She needs to go out and play more, and stop trying to prove that the dark alleys hold muggers. Now, what I mean by that is, hey, I'm going to walk down this dark alley to prove there's muggers. Well, why?
Mm.
Okay, So there's the story about the man, and this is where you're going. The man that walks down the street falls in the hole. He's there for 5 years. He gets out of the hole. He finally climbs out of the hole. He goes down and he walks down the same street and he falls in the same hole, but he's only there for 2 years. He gets out. He's like, yeah, I got out. And he walks down that street and he falls in again and he's in there for a month. Gets out, walks down the same street, walks around the hole.
Around the hole.
Last time, he walks down a different street. So this isn't going to happen overnight, but it's being aware of it.
That's the first big step, is being aware.
Yeah, being aware, right? And to play more. Okay. So get out, go for a hike, go meditate.
Very good. Let's see. Got a new here. Let's see. Lisa, let me put this on the screen. Lisa says, like I said the other night, Doc, comfortably numb. So I think this is part of the transitional phase I am in. It's letting go of the past, letting go of the thought I had in my mind of how things should have been. So it's I'm just happy that she's aware of it all. So let's see if there's another one here. I'd like to say, oh, hi, new Patreon member, Rebecca, the one with the awesome dreads. Thank you very much. Lisa says thank you. So I think you answered her questions. What screen am I on? Here we go. Back to this. Man, it's amazing what those cards can do, Yeah. And at the same time, I'm always intrigued to want to know what they say. But another part of me is like, just live. Let it happen.
Well, yeah, that's part of it, right? That's
right.
Because
I know people that just do nothing. Every choice they make it off a flip of a coin or a card or whatever. And I was like, is it really that much fun?
Because you've got a really good gut, right?
Mm.
But people have been with that nature nurture, right? They follow a pattern that they've gotten used to, and it's continually led them to the same conclusion where they are in life.
You just triggered something that I been wanting to ask all night. With those cycles, I think it's what I'm looking for. You and I had talked about the 9-year cycle that supposedly we all go through. Do you know more about it than me? Obviously, I mean, you probably do.
Well, it's not just the 9-year cycle.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a big believer in astrology, but the astrology is not the be all end all. Okay. Astrology is like a map. And if you have a map, like if you have GPS, you're not going to necessarily see traffic jams on the map, right?
Okay.
Necessarily. Or it's not going to show a road flooded, right? You're up on the mountain. You know what flooded roads are like, right?
It shows you best conditions.
Yeah. So that's how astrology is, but there's always roads to go around it. So it's not just the 9-year cycle, Doc. There are lifetime cycles.
Okay.
Stuff carried over from previous life, from generations, from all types of cycles that we live on, dimensional cycles. I read for a guy one time, very, very popular guy, and he was having trouble with his marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you guys get in a fight about you always lose your keys, your shoes, you forget where the car is parked, you have everything. And he goes, oh my God, you're right. How do you know that? I go, and your wife is blaming you because you can't find the car keys or your shoelaces or whatever it is, a coat. And he goes, I swear to God that I put my keys down on the counter. I put my shoes in the same place. I parked my car. I can't find it. I go, dude, you're jumping dimensions. And these slight changes in his dimensional reality, he thinks he's going crazy. So this was odd, very odd. There were things that were moving. Sometimes the things move, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was actually jumping realities.
So like a multiverse scenario?
Yep.
Wow. Now, in the presentation I did, I talked about how that comes to be. Well, the theory of it, at least, how every single choice we make, animal, man, whoever, it literally splits and creates a new world starting from that point. And it just keeps going and going. And if you multiply every single person that has lived on this planet and every creature that has all made a choice, that's a lot of multi-universes.
Well, let me just down it's every thought as well.
Well, okay, yes, every thought, because on the quantum level. Now, my thing is that I didn't come to any conclusion on this. I have a theory involving sound and frequencies. How do you think or know how someone could shift between multiverses like that? Because I believe it. And I think Mandela effect has some mix in there too. I think maybe sometimes it's when we have deja vu, it's two multiverses colliding for a moment, maybe a few seconds behind the other, and we're
were you the one that posted on? I just saw it on social media with the Berenstain Bears.
Yes, with the VHS tape.
Yeah, the VHS tape.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, bingo.
Right. And this newest thing, and I don't know, it could be movie magic, but not everybody's really good at editing and stuff. People are taking their old flip phones, their old Nokias and stuff, and they're using the camera to look at things. And the image on the camera, like the Bernstein Bears, will be spelt differently to how it originally was. It's these phones of that period, of that time, are able to see through it like a chronovisor.
This is where the physical world could change. This is why it's important to work on your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because consciousness, no matter what dimension it's in, is being fed through. I worked with a doctor. You've heard of Deepak Chopra.
Oh, yes.
The doctor that replaced him, I toured around the United States with.
Okay.
And I would take him to events, lectures, whatnot. And we were working with this couple, and they were crazy. There was something wrong with this couple. And he was treating them. And after they walked away, I go, Dr. Mishra, what? Those people were crazy. He goes, yeah. He said, I go, what makes people crazy? He said, consciousness in Ayurvedic medicine in India, consciousness enters the body through trillions and billions of, I would call them like capillaries.
Okay.
Like spiritual little capillaries, consciousness enters the body. If we do not take care of ourselves, right, really pay attention to what we eat, what we drink, what we smoke, whatever it is, but also what we feed our minds. He goes, it can become like ama. Ama is what they call cholesterol. Okay.
Okay.
So people have cholesterol because of their diets or their lifestyle. He goes, ama is the spiritual clogging of consciousness being able to enter the body. And that's how they go crazy, because their consciousness is slowly cut off. This is about the work that I'm very impassioned about, is growing consciousness, opening up that consciousness for people, and to spread the consciousness, which brings in this new era.
Wow.
To where we're more and more capable of sustaining more consciousness. Then we expand. Then we expand in our lives.
Wow. Consciousness and energy. Things keep coming back to that. And it makes me think of what you were talking about earlier on how people will drain, or we were talking about energy vampires. Someone had mentioned, or I was watching a documentary on abductees, and they talked about how when they were asleep, that their energy was being drained and being utilized. And then it made me think about the idea of the Matrix, how human beings are batteries. How important is energy to all these other beings out there? Is it like a commodity in some cases? Because there are so many beings out there. I mean, just different types of creatures. I believe it. I believe it. Because if there wasn't, there wouldn't be as many people talking about it or reporting it or experiencing it. Energy is there? I mean, is it like a commodity? I mean, when demons and all them, they come and they take your energy.
Yeah. So as you know, energy can either be created or destroyed, right?
Right.
Only
Did I say it was? Did I screw up and say?
form of energy to another.
Right.
Okay. So bring your energy back in. Does your energy belong to these dark forces? Right.
I would think not.
Right. So you think about the physical realm, and you have people have had taken advantage of you. They've taken advantage of me. Everybody's had people take advantage of them, right?
Right.
By other people.
Right.
But at the same time, you have people that support you, that will do anything for you, right?
Right.
And that's kind of that spiritual family. So uh, if you want to live your life, so one of the best books that I tell people that want to start on this journey is to read the Celestine Prophecy.
Yes. I've
Okay.
bought multiples of it and given them away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the control dramas are, oh doc, I don't feel good. I can't continue this conversation. That's the poor me,
Mm-hmm. The victim.
the victim.
Right.
All right. Then there's the interrogator. So how come you're wearing that hat? Where were you? Who were
Mm-hmm.
you with? Why were you gone so long? What are you doing? Right. The interrogator.
Mm-hmm.
The intimidator, the screamer, the yeller. And then there's the people that go aloof. And those are energy vampires. Those are the four major areas. Aloof. I don't have any business talking to you. I don't have you're below me, right?
Dismissive. Yeah.
This dismissive that I'm and they
On a pedestal. Yeah.
yeah, so ask me a question. Just ask me any question. I'll give you an example.
Oh crap.
I don't care what it is.
What do you think of my hair?
Right? It's that. That's
Can I waste any more of your time?
right. Right. It's like right.
I
That's
got better shit to do.
you know the interrogator, you know the intimidator, and you know the poor me.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't hang around those people.
Right.
Okay. I haven't had anybody in my house in 5 years, other than repairmen once in a while.
Wow.
Like if I go meet people, I want to go meet them
Out and about.
on
Mm-hmm.
about because I'm really, really careful about who I let into my environment.
Because it brings the energy into your home. I'm actually the same way. At the same time, I bitch and complain. Nobody hangs out anymore, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad because
So that's why I tell people you put salt at your front door, back door, garage door, and when you put it there, you say, in no uncertain terms, nothing and no one enters this house unless it's for my best and highest. Okay.
okay.
So there are, I absolutely believe in abductions. Absolutely. But I don't leave my window open at night, hoping to be abducted. Like,
I
get the fire truck, Doc.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
you know how I feel about card. Well, I don't. I want you. Can you do a card for me?
Yeah.
I would like to know, because I'm supposed to do hypnotherapy on when I was a child, and I had this weird nighttime encounter event, where my father almost shot me because I had opened the front door, and the front door had like 6, 7 locks on it, and I'm only 3 feet tall, so there's no way I could have unlocked them all. I would like to know. I know it wasn't just a dream because my dad confirmed it with the whole locks in the door, but was it alien or was it a military? Was it a military experiment? What does it say? Mother of swords of mystery. Okay.
No, it was real.
So, but was I? So I was abducted
Um,
because I know it was real. Something
no,
happened,
but it wasn't. It
but I
wasn't
floated down the stairs. I
Travis.
swam down the staircase.
Yeah, it wasn't the Travis abduction.
Right.
Wasn't. It was by another race. It was extremely benevolent.
Bad.
Benevolent. Good.
Oh, good, good. Okay, sorry. I don't know why I thought the opposite.
Good. Benevolent.
I was also told that I became a walk-in after that.
Um,
And if not, I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's just what I was told.
Yeah, let's take this offline. I mean, because
Okay,
this is
yeah, that's fine. I was just curious because it's bothered me for years.
It's not. Yeah, it's not your imagination. It wasn't the government.
We'll continue it later.
Something I haven't seen before.
Okay, we'll continue this later.
I do know, I do know the people I have read for. It was a very similar race that were abducted, like Travis.
Okay. Okay.
Not as. Yeah.
Okay. I've just, I've been wanting to, and I've been aware of it and try to think that I'm, mature enough to realize, I'm in the entertainment industry. I have a very active imagination. I was a child, but when my father confirmed that, that's why he came around the corner at the top of the staircase with the rifle, that there's no way I could have opened that door.
So, if you look at this card, and I'll send you pictures of it.
Okay.
It's called the Eight of Wands.
All right.
Which is swiftness. These are ships, but you see them flying like over the Alps, so they're really extremely high up in the air.
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay. Yeah. We'll talk after the show. Because I don't feel I'm traumatized by it anymore. Yeah.
You weren't. Cool. You're not. That's why I said it wasn't like Travis or any of the other people that I read for that were traumatized.
Yeah. I just wish I could swim down the staircase again. I remember that wholeheartedly. It was so amazing. It was like I was in water, but I wasn't getting wet. And I just swam down to the front door from down the staircase. But yeah. All right. We'll talk about that. But we've been on for a bit. Let me refresh and make sure. I think we are good to go. Just make sure. Don't leave anybody out. Lisa says, let me put it up here. Doc, it was alien. This is why I have been drawn to talking to you, needless to say. Yes, I have been waiting for Doc to ask for a card. And she loves Deepak. Well, cool. Now I want to know more, but I want to have you back on as often as possible.
Yeah, let's do it because
and the audience will build. I mean, I know it's very small, but I've been in the pit stop, you might say, in the race for about 6 months. So I'm having to kick in the nitrous and try to catch up with everybody.
It's going to happen, Doc. It's in the cards. I mean,
cool.
But it's also with your energy, right? But it's shifting.
I believe it. I'm in a new phase, a new beginning of a new chapter right now in my life.
Anything and everything that ever followed you home from that place, send it back never to return.
I'm for that. I'm all for it.
Like if you got some sage, and say it out loud, get out of here, never to return.
I need to do that. I need to get me some sage. I do not have any sage. I think we have a mystic shop or two up here that might
If
have
you just
some.
have an incense or just anything,
Okay. Well,
you
cool.
you can burn just paper. I mean,
Really? So it's just symbolic, really, then.
well,
Does it have to do with the scent or the smell
it does have,
opening?
yeah, it does have something to do with the sage and the smell, but the salt will help to help you sleep better
Okay. Cool.
because you're being visited, and you
Is
want.
that why I'm still now? I just don't. I fall asleep and I wake up in the position I'm in. Okay. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. But
And,
just tell these things. Hey, boundaries.
right. Well, I'm ready to do that. So thank you so much for coming on the Patreon page and helping some people. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the Patreon subscribers. The family will keep growing. This is just the first week. So share, let people know. And we will see you all tomorrow night on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and wherever else I can post. So thank you so much. Remember, as long as we all lift each other up, we will all rise together. I'm Doc Skinner, and this is my guest, Christopher Laprath. Thank you, and have a good night. All right, I'm going to end this real quick. Hit this button.